Okay, so Alice Downs, you have 10 minutes. Pardon? Ma'am, 10. That's our max.
Board policy provides that if people pool their time, they can only go to a maximum of 10.
I understand. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Alice Downs, and I have been an elementary school teacher in Escambia County for 20 years now. The video that I'm here speaking about, and that two people have already spoke about, it was a mandatory watch party for every school district employee. We actually had to sign a Google form saying we watched it. It was called, for the people that haven't seen it or don't know what it's called, Diversity, Equity, and Closing the Achievement Gap. For those of you in the audience who didn't get the pleasure of seeing this video, let me give you a breakdown. Please bear with me as I use my air quotes because I do want you to know the exact wording that was in this video. To begin, there was not one, not two, but 7 different scenes of completely racist white people depicted in the video. The video started with a white principal showing disdain for a young African-American male as he came into her office when he was obviously in trouble. Scene 2, a group of elementary school-aged kids hanging out in front of a store. The white owner threatens to call the cops, and the boys are seen running for their lives when they hear sirens. I wonder what kind of idea that puts into the heads of African-American young boys. Run when you hear the cop sirens. White doctors insinuating that there possibly could have been abuse in a household from a broken arm. The boy even stated that he got hurt all the time. This is something that doctors do regularly. This is part of their job. Somehow now it's being portrayed as a bad thing just because this boy is African American. I guess we don't want doctors doing this anymore, or should he just not screen the African Americans' children? Teachers do this as well. Should we not be checking into the stories of accidents? Should we just mind our own business when we see something questionable, or should we only check out the non-African American students? At the end, the doctor apologized to the family. Scene 4, white Karen, classic white Karen, sitting on the playground with her white toddler child, and she immediately is dismissive of the black parents as they try to speak to her. She picks up her white child and leaves the playground abruptly. Scene 5, back to the principal holding the young man's file that is 2 inches thick when he states he did nothing. She corrects his grammar. White teacher reprimanding a kindergarten-aged African-American young man because she thinks he's the one at fault between him and a white boy fussing over a book. She punishes the black boy without even knowing the situation, doesn't happen, and sends him to timeout. The white boy is seen smirking heavily as the African-American boy is punished. Flashback to the white principal apologizing profusely to the African-American young man when she realizes how much racism he's experienced from white people. Next, the video shows a handy-dandy chart called the Cultural Competence Spectrum, so we can easily tell just how racist we are as educators. And yes, I am mad. I thought it was a real helpful chart, by the way. This chart states oblivious as the first level. It says these people that are oblivious believe that differences do not exist and you don't see color. To me, these two phrases are not the same. Differences do exist, but I'm 51 years old, and my generation was taught over and over and over to not see color. We heard it consistently, and if you are my age, you know what I'm talking about. This did not mean anything bad to us. This meant to us that we were to treat everyone equally. I know it's not an appropriate statement anymore, but I want y'all to know when I hear that, that's what I mean, that I'm going to treat everybody equally. I don't see color, I see actions. I recognize that each and every student I see brings their own set of baggage into my classroom with them every day when they walk in, and has nothing to do with color. I mentor them on how to overcome their difficulties in order to be productive and successful member of society, and that does not make me oblivious. The people on this level are termed as not of color or have reached a certain level of academic status. And oblivious people believe racism, prejudice, or unconscious biases are a thing of the past. So basically, if you are white and successful, you believe racism isn't real or it doesn't happen anymore. This was made as a statement of fact in the video. So it seems most of the members up here on this board fit that criteria right along with me. You could be an unconscious promoter, second level, people who see biases and ignore the elephant in the room. So basically, I guess you're semi-racist if you're on this level. If you're culturally competent, third level, I guess you're just not racist at all. Great. The video stated that Escambia County has a 34-point difference in English language art achievement and a 35-point difference in math achievement between white and African American students. That's true. I'm sure at face value it would look as if the teachers are to blame for this. But why? Don't you think we're doing everything we can to properly educate those students in our classroom? Every student I have ever had, all races, that have been low and have had several things in common. It's not race. Low attendance, low attendance, one or more parents absent from the home for a myriad of reasons, living with grandparents, and or a history of abuse and neglect. Again, true for all races. This is a fact that most teachers would agree with, and it has nothing to do with race. The video then asks, what are some of the barriers African American students face in education? Number one, that school-based norms are parallel to white middle-class norms. The norms at my school are to be respectful, responsible, and safe. I guess these are only norms we should expect out of the white middle-class students. Another reason shown in the video is that African American students are predominantly taught by Caucasian teachers. This is explicitly stating that white teachers are at fault for this achievement gap. Maybe there are more white teachers because the population percentage is predominantly white. How do you suggest changing that fact? It says also that we have unconscious low expectations for the students. Any teacher I have ever met in my 20 years has had nothing but high expectations for their students. Just because some students don't meet those expectations doesn't mean we have low expectations. Maybe it's this board's intention to start lowering the expectations for white students so we can close the gap. Lack of belonging is another reason. Belonging to what? Every class I have ever had, the students have mixed together with no problem. Like the lady before me said, you're taught to be racist. These kids aren't racist. They love each other. The video even gives several examples of African American only based groups. So where is the lack of belonging? Another reason they gave was lack of exposure beyond their current neighborhood. Nothing I can do about that. We can't do anything about that. If their parents or guardians don't expose their children to different cultures outside of what is already provided at school, what are we going to do about that? The video then asks, what can teachers and administrators start doing this year to decrease the achievement gap between black and white students? Why are these two races being compared? This list does nothing but blame teachers and administrators for the gap. At what point are the people raising these children that are falling behind going to be held accountable? Can we possibly demand that they send their children to school every day, return our phone calls as we plead for their help, and bring them to the multitude of after-school programs that are offered? This video has some handy tips on how teachers and administrators can close the gap. Here's what they say. Build relationships. Yeah, we already do that. They're asking us to go out into the community, provide sack lunches, invite the community into our school, volunteer, mentor. So yeah, sign me up to do some more work after I get off at 5 p.m. Learn linguistics. This means that letting African American students express themselves in their own dialect. It states that Ebonics is the African American vernacular English. This is about letting students express themselves in their dialect. However, any English teacher knows that children often write how they speak. Using Ebonics excessively will translate over to their writing. But I guess teachers aren't supposed to correct their students' language because that would be racist. Isn't that our job, to help students speak and write appropriately? And they want us to use their dialect in order to teach them effectively. Us. Do they want the students to speak this way at a job interview? If we don't guide students on how to speak as mature individuals, what will be the result? The video actually states that the expectations for minority students actually have to be higher than what's considered normal expectations, because these students have to work twice as hard for half as much. And I am so tired of people trying to condition minorities to believe they aren't enough. They should expect to work twice as hard to get what white people, I guess, are just given. Discovering their true potential is another tip for teachers. They speak of exposing African American students to things they might not normally experience in their own community. Aren't we supposed to do that for all the students? Do they think we're leaving African American students behind when we go to the Roy Hyatt Center, to the zoo, to UWF? This is the purpose of the trips, to expose all the children to all the opportunities afforded to them by being an American. I tell you, I was completely offended by the entire video, but the worst part is the impression I'm sure this left on all the kids in the video that were making it and that were filming it. They were asked what they liked about their favorite teachers, and they talked about private tutoring lessons, us bringing them stacks, buying their school supplies for them, is what the kids stated. Obviously, they don't understand how much we make. Luckily, I have a husband who makes a great living, so I'm able to do that already, but I do it out of the kindness in my heart. And these kids should not be told or given the impression they should expect that kind of stuff. I really, really hope this video is not shown to the students from Montclair Elementary where it was filmed. and who participated in making the video, but I'm sure it was. What kind of impression do you think that left on them? They got to watch scene after scene after scene of white racist. What kind of conditioning is that? Also, what kind of impression did it give to the 2 white child actors in the video that had to practice that scene multiple times? Practicing being racist. The overall message is a valid one, but the way they were pitting us against each other, I don't believe it. You totally missed the mark on this video, Superintendent, and you have a lot of teachers of all races upset. No Hispanics in this video, no Asians in this video, and I think you deserve a full apology. Worked our butt off last year during COVID.
Thank you very much.